Hi everybody, welcome to cooking class number 2. So we're going to get all of our materials that we need ready. Make sure you wash your hands first. Go ahead and sanitize your workspace and we'll get started. So the first thing that you're going to need is your cutting board. You have a plastic cutting board. In this video I'm using wood, bamboo actually. So go ahead and gather your materials. You'll need your cutting board, your knife, your head of cabbage. We'll do some prep on this stuff. You'll need your turkey sausage, your burrito shells, 2 eggs, a tomato, mine's homegrown, and I have a couple other things around my kitchen that I want to use. So jalapeno, this one's red and has those little marks on it, and that means it's really spicy. Homegrown as well, so you have a good chance to add things in your kitchen. I'm also adding an onion, a nice yellow onion there. Okay, so now we need to prep this stuff. We need to get it ready for cooking. So first thing we're going to get ready is our cabbage. A cabbage is going to need a little bit more prep than the other items. We're going to take the exterior of that cabbage off in a second. So here's our cabbage. I'm going to go ahead and start to remove the outer layer. You can see that that's the part that grows into the earth right there, the stem, and the exterior leaves are going to be a little dirty because, you know, it's a natural wrapper. So we're going to peel it back a layer or two. So I washed this first, and now we're going to peel it, and I can see, oh, that looks good. And now we don't need that stem part. It's going to be very woody. It's not going to taste good. It's more of how the plant. All right, so we're going to take our knife, hold it like that, and we don't even need our other hand near it, and we're just going to push down and chop. So now that piece can go ahead and go in the trash near composting because we removed a majority of the stem. You can see that there's a little left on mine, so I'm going to cut a little bit higher. Again, I'm safe because my other hand isn't anywhere near it. Cabbage makes for great compost, it really does. It'll break down nice. So I'm going to save some of my material and cut off the stem right there. You can see we don't want to eat that part. So then I just have some nice cabbage left. And we want it in nice small pieces. So I'm going to cut off just a little bit more. I'm going to use it nice and thin. So it's a slice of cabbage. A slice is a thin slice. And it's nice and long. And I'm going to save that rest of the cabbage for another recipe. So I'm going to move that off to the side. Okay, so next we're going to prep. We're going to finish prepping our cabbage. That's not really bite-sized. So this is a nice, safe way to chop. My hand's not even near the cutting board or the knife. So I'm chopping, pushing down, kind of rocking the knife back and forth. Yeah, nice chop there. Oh, I forgot a piece. Let me get that. That's a happy little piece of cabbage right there. Oh, that looks nice. Ooh, make it a little bit smaller. So when you do that, it's called dicing. Dicing is not only when you play with dice, but also when you chop things up small. If I were to keep going, that'd be called mincing. I'm using the flat edge of the blade right there to move the cabbage. You can use that or another one of your utensils that we provided you. All right, there we go. So what's next? Next I'm going to prep a tomato. So you see that green stem, just like the stalk on the cabbage. We want to cut that off. It smells good as well. I'm a fan of the smell of tomato. Okay, so here we go. I hid my fingernails. I'm holding my knife in the safe way, and I'm just going to chop off that end, that stem of the tomato. So tomatoes have a thick skin on them. So the best way to do it, and you'll see me doing it here in a second, is angle the knife downward. So I'm going to make my fingernails disappear. You can see I kind of angled downwards, and I'm slicing again, nice and fine. There we go. And you can see right here, we have a nice even number of slices. I split it in half. Equal number on each side, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. So this is the part when you'll need to really be careful with your knife, because the skin on the tomato, you can see it slides it around. So I'm pushing down with the tip and like that. And that's going to help a little bit easier with our cutting tomatoes. These knives are new, so it should go pretty well. And then here we go. I'm going to stack it all together and then dice it again into smaller pieces. And when you dice, you can make it so you don't have to use your other hand, so it's nice and safe. And there we go. Got some tomato, using the flat end and moving my tomato over. So those are the ingredients we gave you. If you have anything extra, here's how you would cut an onion. So you're going to chop off both ends, hide my fingernails, chop down, turn it, chop down. There we go. And then all this stuff is going to go in composting or just your garbage. So now we're going to cut it in half, and that's a nice safe knife cut. And now, just like we did the cabbage, we're going to peel the skin off. There we go. Want to make sure you get it all off because it's tough and chewy. So I forgot that little piece. That wouldn't be a happy mistake. That'd be a little nasty, chewy mistake. And since I'm already here, I'm just going to peel that other side. I'm not going to use the one half of the onion. So now, making my fingernails disappear. And I'm cutting it nice and thin, because that's going to taste the best. And then I can dice it a little bit easier. So those are slices right now. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll turn them. Nice thin slice of onion. But you know what? I want it diced to match, the consistency of the tomato. So here I go. Going to dice it. Make my fingernails disappear. And you can see that I'm using my pointer finger of the other hand to kind of touch the safe part of the knife, so then I know it doesn't touch anything else. Or you could do it like this. We're going to rock the knife back and forth to do some chopping or mincing. I'm sorry, this would be dicing. Chopping is when it's thick and big. Think of a tomato in a salad. A dice is when it's a little bit smaller. And then mince is like the type of onion you would put on a hot dog. So there are onions done. I'm using the flat side of the blade to move it over. And now I'm going to use my pepper. So this pepper is going to be pretty hot because of the color and the lines on it. I'm going to cut it in half, and then we're going to take the inside parts out. So during this part, you're going to get some of the pepper oil on your hand. It's going to feel warm. It's going to tingle a little bit. It's absolutely safe. You can get it off with cold water and soap. Definitely do not touch your eyes after doing this. Wash your hands. Make sure that all those oils are off your hand. So I'm moving some of the seeds away. The seeds have a lot of the spice. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did with the onion. I'm going to slice first, and then I'll turn it and I'll dice. When I dice, it's going to get it nice small pieces like the onion. And that's good because everything's going to be the same consistency. Get little pieces of heat You can do a one-handed technique in here as well to dice it up. Or you can also do the two-handed. And you notice when I'm cleaning off the knife, I'm always pushing down away from the sharp side. And there I'm holding and I'm rocking the knife back. Okay, so now we're at the stove, and this is where we're going to cook our meat and our eggs. So I cut a hole on my turkey sausage package, and I have my pan warming up at about medium heat. And you can see that by looking at the dial. So make sure you clean up your and we're going to wait until that gets a little bit warmer. You can kind of don't touch it, but put your hand over it. I don't feel any heat yet. So I'm going to put my turkey sausage down for right now. And now as this warms up, I'm going to turn the handle so I don't bump it. We'll get our eggs ready. So the way you get eggs ready is we're going to be making scrambled eggs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both eggs out, take them one at a time, hold on to my bowl, and just gently tap. And then I'll break the egg a little bit, and I'm going to use my thumbs to separate it and plop down the egg. So no shell got in there, that was a good one. Here's my second egg. Okay, tap tap, break it with my thumbs, and then kind of pull apart at the same time. And then there's my two eggs. So what we're going to do with our eggs is our pan warms up. It's going to take a fork and stir, 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 stir. And look how I'm doing it. I'm doing it like a circle, like up and down, Ferris wheel. Because we want air to get inside of the eggs. That's what makes them fluffy. And they should be nice and mixed. So it's at this point I will share my secret with you guys. What you want to do is either take some of your either cream cheese or sour cream and do a dollop in there, just a spoonful. And then we're going to go ahead, and you see it's a little chunky, so I'm breaking it up, stirring it around. There we go. So that's what our eggs look like. Eggs you need to be careful with because they can make you sick. So if I make any mess, I'm going to clean it up right away. Have those paper towels handy. I'm just going to wipe that up, and then when I'm done cooking, clean everything off. Okay, so now I feel my pan's hot. You're not going to want to use all of your sausage. I would probably do like 2-3 fingers worth, 2 fingers. So now I'm just going to squeeze it into my pan. And we can hear that sizzle already, which means the pan's nice and hot, which is good. And now I'm going to take my flipper and then break it up. I'm holding on to one edge of my pan, and I'm pushing down on it to get little chunks. We don't want these big hunks of turkey. Oh, some fell out. I'll have to remember to wash my hands. Alright, yep, and it's already kind of a brown-red color, but we'll know it's done when it turns brown-brown. So what's nice about a ground meat like this is it's easier to cook because you can break it up like this. Move it around. Maybe, oh, I'm going to just smush it like this for a little bit. Yeah. And now is a good point. We didn't give anybody any seasonings in their packs because, you know, there's a lot out there. What I'm going to do is I have a favorite. I go to the Spice House. It's a really cool spice store. It's kind of like Penzeys spices. Alright, so now it's getting a little harder to chop them up because they're cooking. So I'm still doing this. Oh, that smells good. I think there's some seasoning in here too. Alright, so that looks pretty well chopped. I'll just let that cook there a second, and I knocked any extra off my flipper. So the spice I'm going to use is one that I love right now. It's called Everything Bagel Seasoning, and there's chunks of garlic, salt. Oh, and you can see it's kind of bubbling a little bit. That's because turkey has a lot of water in it. So this liquid is the water coming out of the meat, the interstitial fluids. Just going to turn it around a little bit. And then I'm actually going to add some of my seasoning now. It's almost cooked, it's almost done, so I'm going to sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. There we go. And it's bubbling, which is good. That means the water's coming out. I'm smelling the garlic now. That's one thing that we'll have to do in another recipe, is show you guys how to hand cut garlic. It's like an onion, but with extra layers. Okay. So now I'm looking at my meat, and it's brown. Nothing's that pink color anymore. I'm going to move it around just a little bit. A lot of the liquid's evaporated. It's been cooked off. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I have my eggs here. And I'm going to just take my eggs and dump them in. Make sure my bowl doesn't drip. And now you just move it all together. You'll start to see the egg get solid, which is perfect. And we're just mixing it all together. These pans are really nice. They're non-stick. With the healthier version of Teflon, so that's nice. And we're using something plastic in here because metal would scratch it. And once it gets scratched, then that's a little hole for microorganisms to live in. So my heat's still at medium. Medium. And I'm starting to see my eggs get a little solid. We want to get like all the slimy looking stuff out, so I'm going to spread it around flat and let that cook for a second. And while that's cooking, I have another bowl ready. So you can use another bowl or another plate, but that's what we're going to put the meat and egg into, because then we're going to do something cool with the tortilla. So cold tortillas are great, but the best way to eat them is to warm them up for a second. Okay, so I'm scraping the edges, making sure I'm getting everything. My eggs are nice and solid, so now I'll drop this meat and egg onto my other plate. And I'm scraping it off. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my flame down a little bit to low. And I'm going to take the burrito, just take one whole one, and I'm going to put it in, boop, right in my pan. I'm going to leave that for probably about 10 seconds. So I'm able to do this because the tortilla isn't hot yet, but just be careful. I have my flipper, and then I'm going to flip it once. Gonna let it sit. Gonna turn off my stove. And now that my tortilla is warm, I'll see you in a second for how to prep it. Actually, we'll do that right here. No, we'll see you in a second. Okay, so now's the exciting part when we get to put it all together. So, I'm going to take my tortilla out of the pan and dump it onto my plate. I have, got to put it in the middle. I have my meat and eggs, so I'm going to scoop them on. I'm going to stay to one side, because then I'll show you how to wrap it in a cool way. Alright. I'm going to save this. I don't want to stuff it too big. That looks like a good amount to me. And then with my flipper, I'm going to take some of my jalapenos, put them on, some of my onion, sprinkle it on, some of my tomato, sprinkle it on. We're making a pile here so we can wrap everything else around it. And then I'm going to use my hand and put a handful of cabbage on. So you can see we have ingredients left over, so you can make it for more than one person. You just use more of the eggs and the sausage. And then I like sour cream, so I'm going to put on a dollop of daisy. Beautiful. Okay. And then the one other thing that is in your bins is hot sauce. So I have a big thing of it because I love this stuff. This is more of a salsa, so it's not even hot. I'm going to just put blah 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 globs on it. And if you want to try it before you put it on, it's a lot better to know what you're putting on instead. Okay, so now I'm going to scoot this over. You can see better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck these edges in like this, and then I'm going to start rolling it. Tuck that edge in. My tortilla ripped a little. Oh no! Tuck this edge in. Smush it all in. Smush it all in. Flip it over like we did last time. And then there is your breakfast burrito. This one I don't recommend cutting. Just try and eat it. Hold it up. If you like sour cream, put some on the side. It's a nice little dipper. But otherwise, that's how we make a breakfast burrito.